Dudes, what's happening, man? This is Trent, and if you don't know, on my Discord channel, which is the Aquatic Moon Discord channel, which there's a link to below every video, every month now, we're starting a design challenge. This is a concept art challenge. It's not a contest. There's no prizes. The prize is that at the end of the month, I'm going to go through all of the submissions. I'm going to basically just show off and react to all of your designs. There's a lot of discussion, and a lot of people helping each other out. It's really exciting to see how people work together and challenge each other to come up with cool solutions. For the month of September, the art challenge was to design the Breath of the Wild Shrine Redesign. Now, I did not like the shrines in Breath of the Wild. I know that's going to upset some of you out there, but as an opportunity to redesign something, oftentimes I'll look at something that I don't like in an existing game. I like the game, I just don't like those shrines. So, hey, man, I'm really excited to see how you guys would have redesigned it in a way. I think you might come up with some shrines that I like better than what was in the game. So let's find out. Before I dig in too deep, I want to thank Crane, who is the moderator. He's the most active moderator in the Aquatic Moon Discord. He's doing an excellent job keeping the place tidy. And he set up some extra rooms for people to be able to post their artwork and have discussions in separate rooms. But we're just going to look at the final submissions. We're not going to look at the processes. So the first entry, this is from Claire. Claire is very active on the Discord, and she put together this awesome looking, it kind of looks like it's more of a mound, more natural elements. Pretty cool stuff. Definitely getting vibes that look like the Guardians. You know, there's a lot of these kind of ancient looking machines that are cruising around in the environment of Breath of the Wild. If you haven't played it, you got to play it. It certainly has the entrance, the things that make it a shrine, like the kind of place where you would be kind of going to like a micro dungeon sort of a thing. So it's like a solid entry point or an entrance to a dungeon. Pretty cool. Nice job, Claire. Next up, that Metalhead creature, great name, by the way, contributed this awesome piece. This is much more structural, and it's always an excellent idea to have the character or some kind of a humanoid in your scene to show a sense of scale. This looks like a definite, like an ancient structure. You got stuff growing all over it. You've got a nice big opening doorway. Maybe that would be sealed off or something like that, but it looks like Metalhead had a lot of fun with a lot of the natural foliage and some of the dirt formations and that kind of a thing. There's a really nice kind of wispy cloud feel kind of working here into the top, which is really reminiscent of that ancient architecture in the Breath of the Wild universe. Also pulling in some of the shape language from the ancients, their coily kind of cloudy shapes that they use in everything that they do. So this one's a really nice exploration too. I like the atmosphere, the additional atmosphere elements as well. You got some nice secondary colors and tertiary colors going on in your shadows of your grass here too. I recognize those grass brushes. Very familiar. Very nice stuff, Metalhead. Windybeard Games. If you don't know Windybeard, he is doing a Kickstarter right now. I believe the Kickstarter just closed up for Geo 2, which also has a guest appearance by Aikita. But Windybeard is very active over on the forums as well. This is a really interesting little shrine. He's also, again, got the figure in the scene. This is something that I think came about through a lot of the discussion, a lot of people figuring out what might be needed for a game concept. And man, this is a really cool entrance. This looks like a very classic Zelda ancient dungeon entrance. I love it. This one is super cool. I wonder I have to ask Windybeard if he used the symmetry tool, because yeah, you got this nice symmetry. It's a nice straight on shot. A modeler could build from this. And it's got some really nice chunky elements. There's story involved. This little arrow stuck up here in this piece of wood up at the top. It almost looks like it has bushes and like a hedge, a nice little hedge. But what's really nice about this piece is that you see these like kind of coils. There's like it's almost musical, because there's like this kind of a perfect inclusion of the shapes and the flow of the patterns within the structure working into the door. And then you've got also the same shape language of these coils and these like cloudy shapes right at the edges of the door frame, and then that echoes throughout. You see it in little spots here and there in the piece. Very nice. These giant plants add a nice, interesting form to it. It may be almost too symmetrical, and might be really nice to have like some more variety in the way that these plants are growing out from either side. But man, I really love this piece. This is a really nice contribution. Very creative and very inspiring. Great job, Windybeard. Amy Wayborn went totally nuts. Look at this. Incredibly rendered, incredibly nicely rendered. This is really beautiful. It looks like there's a little bit of like photo texturing going on with the leaves, and I think that that's a very smart way to add a lot of natural foliage elements. It's hard to like get in there and paint out every leaf, you know, but this gives you a sense of location. Again, we get to see the character for scale. Really nice. It does feel like there's this entry point here, like an entrance to something. It feels definitely like it's more natural because we don't see symmetry, but we do see those coils and some of the pattern work here up at the top, where you can kind of see how the ancients, it maybe was an originally like a structure that was constructed or man-made, but then was later overgrown, or maybe it grew because of the magics inside of it, kind of like grew out to become its own thing. And so like, that's really interesting too. I don't know how well, like for when I look at this, I think almost like if you had 50 of these, which you do in Breath of the Wild, I almost think like they would all grow slightly differently depending on what their location is, because it's so organic, because it's not just like a building that was manufactured or built by according to some spec or like some blueprint, you know, made by an actual craftsman. Because it looks so natural, it feels like every different location would use whatever stone was in that region. Anyway, each one of these inspires a whole lot of different ideas that you could take from there and then run with, man. There's so many really nice ideas in here. So that one's really cool. Great job, Amy. Now this one is from Tail. Tail clearly knows how to present their concept art in a portfolio, because this is perfectly, I believe, following my template for a portfolio workshop. Really nice presentation. Tail looks like Tail just like made this a living place. This looks like it's got this whole corridor inside. We've got an interior cutaway view. We've got notes. Let's see, large crystal that powers the shrine. Could be a callback to the time stone and Skyward Sword, or maybe it's made out of a luminous stone. Very cool idea. I love seeing the original thumbnail sketch in here. This is beautiful, really nice. You got a lot of nice colorful saturation. There's that classic eye symbol that we see in every Zelda. So it's really, no question, this is like a design for Breath of the Wild. This is interesting. A shrine turned into a shop. Like, Tail is living up to their name here. This is definitely like, you know, a storyteller's dream. Like you are approaching this one like a concept artist, like a true concept artist. Like, let your imagination flow, explore, try lots of different ideas for it. This is a shrine in ruins due to old age, so we get to see it in different states. This one's super impressive. Looks like, oh man, Tail finished this early. Look at this. Started on 9/3. So got that one done early in the month. Really nice work. Fantastic rendering, fantastic presentation. Wow, even got the logo down here in the corner. Very cool. Very, very cool. I'd love to see a Zelda game made with Tail doing some concept art for it. But you'd have some tough competition, because that's my dream gig, okay? This one is from Woalter, and I'm going to get a nice big open view here. Woalter did a really nice presentation here as well. We get to see some of the original thumbnail designs, and even went so far as to block it out in 3D. This is a common practice with concept art. I think it's brilliant. It saves you a lot of time, and it certainly helps you to get your ideas working. Like, you know it's going to work when you rotate it to a different angle and that sort of a thing. Clients love it when you do concept art in 3D, even if you do it like blocking out 3D like this. So this one's really cool too. I love the addition of the pattern work that we have here. And clearly what's really neat about these exercises is it gets everybody really studying what worked in an existing game. And also thinking about the problem the same way that you would as a professional concept artist. You're taking something and like a professional concept artist, just solving problems. You're working together with a team of creatives, and you're finding solutions to get the function across. And you might have to go through a lot of different iterations. And we're seeing like how a lot of these artists and talented people are like working together to come up with like interesting thumbnails, and man, this one turned out really cool. Very, very cool. I could definitely see that in Breath of the Wild too. Oh, it looks like Woalter actually dropped it into a screenshot, tried to present a final rendering that looks a lot more like how you would actually see it in game. But really nice touch adding the screenshot. It looks like there's actual render from the in-game here in the background. And when you're doing concept, sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to actually take a screenshot of the sky or something like that and put your concept into the scene, put it into that shot, because not everybody on the team is an artist, and they need to evaluate whether or not it's going to fit into that world. I love how the tree is kind of growing up here, by the way, and the roots are digging into the rocks. Yeah, really nice, really nice. I'd like to see a little bit more rendering on this. Really take it to a nice final polish. This one is from Camillus Martin, and it looks like, oh yeah, we get a nice front, side, and top view, so we get an idea of the full form like of this design. Looks like it's got a little bit of an adobe construction. Maybe it's made out of like clay or something like that. It does still feel reminiscent of what you see in the game. I do love the inclusion of a lot of the classic Legend of Zelda symbols, the symbology added into the shot. Really nice touch. Overall, really nice piece. This one could be, the design itself is pretty strong. It's not straying too far from the existing one, but honestly, I think it does look better. The presentation, you could probably stand from using the templates, using like a nice portfolio presentation kind of a thing. But this isn't about giving feedback. This is about showing off your guys' work. And this one's a nice addition. This one is a nice creative exploration. So good job on that one, Camillus Martin. So many great ideas in here. I don't know. I got to speed up. I got to get through a lot more of them a lot faster. I don't want to rush through anybody, though. These are so good. Marius contributed this design. Let's open it up a little larger. Clearly, Marius is also taking a page out of the portfolio workshop. Really nice presentation with the title down along the bottom. This one's interesting because it looks like it's like a flower. I love this design. The idea behind this is so creative, so interesting. It's got a good shape to it. You're definitely pulling in a lot of the classic Zelda shapes and symbols, symbology that ties it to the Zelda world. It's specifically the blue neon glowing triangles. Like that's very distinctly Breath of the Wild. And I love all the unwrapping, like actually showing how it opens. That's true concept design. A lot of times people think that it's just about pretty pictures, but most of the job that we end up doing as environment concept artists is showing how things function. So really nice attention to detail and a very creative solution to, how some of this stuff works, how the elevator works, and like how the thing unfolds. Really nice. This one is from Purple Ground. And this one sticks pretty close to the existing shrines, but it does have this new kind of a way that it opens, which is interesting. We kind of get to see it in the sketches here. No, these are other solutions of like how this structure might fit into other locations. So, it looks like this is by Travis Pham. That must be their real name. But yeah, look at these. Look at this, like how the trees would grow off of the top. It still it's reminiscent of the existing one in terms of its shape, but it just has a unique way that it opens. It looks like this top half elevates up, activated state, deactivated state. Oftentimes with concept art, this is great because so oftentimes with concept art, you just need to have that really nicely rendered version, and then you can have like sketches off to the side showing variations and variety of its function. So this one is exceptional, and I particularly really love these little kind of side sketches that show off how it might fit into other environments. But there's definitely this like tribute to the existing kind of shape language of the rest of Breath of the Wild. As much as that frustrates me, and I'm not a big fan of the shapes that they used in the game, I love that this piece takes what they have and it makes it look cooler. This one's from Colanope. Colanope went pretty dark with it. Colanope likes the dark Breath of the Wild. This is really interesting. It looks a lot more like a large structure. We don't have a humanoid figure in here, so we can't tell for sure, but the steps kind of imply, at least in the side view, kind of imply roughly what kind of a scale we're looking at. Maybe like a 3-story, maybe 4-story building. And then, of course, having the guardian head along the top, it looks like it sends out a signal of some kind. Maybe where it's connecting in the world, maybe sending signals to other shrines or something like that. You've got some call outs along the side of maybe some of the history. It looks like, it says sink down into the ground when the shrine is active. Yeah. Oh, so the whole thing shrinks down. The whole shrine itself descends, I think, based on what I can tell here. So yeah, really nice piece. very cool. Silver Star Strike did a series of different shrines. They said, I noticed that in certain areas like the snowy mountains and volcanoes, the weather doesn't seem to really affect the shrines all too much, so I decided to really push that. Sometimes nature didn't take too kindly to the man-made structures. I agree. I do feel like there needs to be that consistency amongst all of the different shrines, but it's really nice to see somebody paying attention to that. These are a great touch. I do like that there's some consistency. Like all the buildings themselves are the same, which is good. I don't know what the intention behind the different coloration would be, though, whether it's active or inactive, or whether it's in the sense that you've already conquered it, for instance. I think that they change in-game. Once you've conquered a dungeon, the shrine changes. But this is, it's really nice to see the little bit of that, more of the Oriental or Asian influence of architecture, which I mean, we see them in the monks and we see them in like some of the villages in Breath of the Wild. So why wouldn't it also be in some of the ancient shrines? So that's a really nice touch. Really interesting approach to it. I would like to see more of a rendered, almost screenshot style of an image presenting this to for a portfolio piece or something like that. But it's a great exploration. I think this is some good problem solving here. Ratankar 2004 posted this one, and they said, it's not the best, especially after seeing all the other designs people are coming up with, but I still tried my best. I hope Trent likes it. Can't wait for next month. I do like this. I like this a lot. I like this so much better than the ones that are in the game. I want this in Breath of the Wild too. Nintendo needs to hire Ratankar 2004, because this is really, I love this extra mile of just adding these little textures to the corners of the presentation. Really nice design, really nice presentation. You spelled my name wrong though. You lose. It's not a competition. I don't care. But this is, really cool presentation, really nice sketches showing the variety of different ways that it could be presented. You got this nice what could be a natural overgrowth of the ancient kind of like living stuff coming up out of the ground. Really interesting design on the structure itself. Probably it is interesting because like I thought maybe the perspective was a little off here, but the overall, like, I get the idea. The concept itself is solid. It's strong. This could definitely be in a Zelda game, and it's got that kind of like flat rendered style with a little bit of paper texture on it. This is a person who's clearly studied a lot of my processes and did an excellent job. Fantastic contribution. Wow. Yayin Art posted this one, and they said, I had a lot of fun with this. I don't usually do environments or props, so this was a breath of fresh air. Whoo! Was inspired by seeing everyone else's entries and look forward to tackling the next challenge. Yeah, I just posted the next challenge. We'll talk about that in a second. Wow. Above and beyond. This one, Edward Sang. Man, you went above and beyond. This is incredible. Really over the top. Like seeing all, like the whole activation sequence. And all of the iterations and explorations, you took this way more seriously than I was expecting anybody to take this. You put in way more than you had to. If you're not using 3D to rough out your geometry, it looks like you are. This is a fantastic, just absolutely inspiring, jaw-dropping contribution. Wow. Really excellent piece to have in your portfolio. Feels like it fits right into the Breath of the Wild. The rendering style is on point. The color choices are on point. Just blown away. This one, wow. Edward Sang, also on Instagram, fantastic artist. Check out Edward Sang's work over there. Slavik Alpaca posted this one. Says this was a fun challenge. Seeing everyone's submissions was great as well. Mine isn't much, but I hope you guys like it. Are you kidding? This is great. Wow. Let's pull up a full size. Oh, okay. Nice. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like there's an archway leading up to the structure. It's a little hard to see. You probably don't want to block a key area, like maybe the doorway to your shrine. You don't want to block that. Maybe choose a different camera angle if you're going to do something like this. But the structure itself, very interesting. It looks like a nice, interesting cylinder jammed into the grass, jammed into the ground, and then the forms were built around it. This is it's got a lot of that classic Zelda iconography and symbology. Very cool. You're definitely using the right colors here. Pretty cool piece. Pretty cool piece. Moo Moo posted this one. Really enjoyed the art challenge. My first time making a building. I hope that that's what this design challenge does, is just gets people starting to think out of their comfort zones to try new things. So many times I've heard character artists say, I don't know anything about environments, but it's not that different. You have to think of them creatively the same way. This is a really nice presentation, obviously, using my classic portfolio workshop. We've got some nice natural stone elements and some of that classic Breath of the Wild pattern work going on in here, which is echoed throughout the entire structure. The steps are consistent with the scale of the shrine itself. It feels very much like a classic shrine, like what you might go and have a little ritual at a shrine like this. To me, it looks like a hat, like a top hat going on at the top, which isn't a bad thing. I love when buildings in Zelda games tend to take on a more literal approach, and it feels like something familiar. So yeah, that's a really nice touch. This one's very cool. Nice job on this one. This is done by Olivia Leopard. Good job, Olivia. Very nice piece. Very nice addition to one's portfolio, I would say. This one is from UNZZZ. My apologies for the late submission and lack of quantity. Been working late recently. No problem, man. It's not a competition. It's something that should be fun, but it's good if you push yourself a little bit. We're all trying to keep up with a lot of things. We're artists. We always have multiple projects going on at once, and trying to keep up with everything is tough. But this is an excellent contribution. This reminds me of some of the old ancient ruins that you see in Thailand. This is really interesting. Yeah, looks like we've got a little figure here showing us a sense of scale. Some of the perspective here is a little off, unless if it's intentional that entryway is angled up. Looks like, is this an interior shot? Oh, it's a straight on, so we get an idea of what that looks like if we were looking from his perspective. I think that's the intention. You can correct me if I'm wrong, which I think is important, because we are obstructed by some of these pieces here. So I think it was a very good decision to show that from another angle in the piece. I love the organic nature of this tree root that's growing over the building here. Very, very cool stuff. It probably would rip that building apart, but it does have a very classic looking structure, almost medieval style structure going on. But certainly a very interesting idea, something worth exploring for an ancient shrine. This one is from Mila. Mila looks like wrote out a few notes here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So Mila put together this very traditional style dome. It looks like we've got a tree growing out of the top, which is very interesting. Moss on exterior of shrine. We want to see that. We want to see that moss. So get in there and render it out a little bit. In forest areas, the tree may have grown above the shrine. Yeah, grow it out of there. Have those vines reaching down a little bit more. I do like the overall shape of this thing. It looks like it looks like we've got a cutaway here of the interior. So yeah, glass ceiling for light to enter. Oh, not if there's a tree up there though. That won't work. But if we stand on the pupil and place the Sheikah slate on the pedestal, we can activate the elevator. Ah, yes. Okay. So we've got a little bit of like thinking about the functionality. The thinking here is very, very clear. Very good job. I would love to see something more rendered. I would love to see Mila push themselves to try to do a little bit more rendering on it, a little bit more painted. Even if it's all line art with color flats, just go with color flats. Check out some of the solutions of some of the other people who participated, and like, man, push yourself to try to do a little bit more of that rendered kind of an approach. But the ideas, the way of thinking creatively is there. So run with that, Mila. Nano Art Rhino posted this one. Hey, excited to participate in the challenge. I'm not used to concept art, and it was super fun. Let's take a closer look. Whoa. This is stunning. Wow. Art Rhino, really fantastic job. It looks like there has to be, first of all, love the addition of the texture behind everything. Really setting the tone, setting the mood. This is definitely Breath of the Wild. This is definitely Zelda. No question. You even built the iconic Zelda bird shape into the wings coming out of the shrine itself. We get to see the thumbnails, the explorations, of which All of them are fantastic. This is exceptional. This is extraordinary. Fantastic job. Definitely one of my favorites. There is a little bit of, like, a lot of detail going on. I did not expect anybody to put this much energy into anything for a simple concept art challenge, but man, my eyes thank you. My eyeballs they are very grateful for you. Thank you for this. This is a nice treat. Wow, cool. I love the kind of spattered paint effect too. Really looking forward to seeing what Art Rhino does for next month's challenge. This one is from Thiago Ezek Lorero. Thiago posted some really interesting ideas here. Says it was really harkening back to the original inspiration for, there was a certain kind of pottery that they had pulled inspiration from. And actually, Thiago did a lot of research on like why they designed it the way that they did. And so kind of going with that original bullet shape influence. But I think that one thing that I want to remind you of, though, is like, even if they pulled inspiration from a thing, it's still, as a concept artist, like, we want to push that a little bit further. And for my personal taste, you know, like, I would say push that bullet design a little bit more. Give us something that makes it feel a little bit more of a like designy, I guess you'd say. Like, give it some unique, interesting story to it beyond just what the original inspiration was. And furthermore, I would say take a look at like how a lot of the other contributors, they added a little bit of color. Color will always punch up your concepts every time, especially nowadays. I think it's almost a requirement. Like, you have to do color in your portfolio. You have to do your concepts in color, even if it's just flat colors, if it's like for a stylized thing. But really nice ideas here. It does remind me of, I mean, it definitely has that Zelda vibe, using the same coiling kind of shapes and recreating them here to add that consistency. Certainly having this kind of a thing breaking down like how it works is really nice, but you could present that like maybe have like, you know, one image up here, the next one down, and the next one down with a little box around it that showcases here's how that works, and actually title it as, you know, on the image with the text editor to say like, hey, here's how the bullet shape, here's how this shrine retracts into the soil. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next month. So Tiberius here, wow, this one's really interesting too. Very, very fancy rendering. Well, getting classy. Look at this grass. Whew. What? Really cool stuff. It looks like there's some photo texture use going on in here. Again, like just adding that extra bit of texture detail really just brings it to life. What I love about this piece is that we have this bright light for the entrance, which really pulls us in. It makes us want to go there, right? This always looks like a nuclear reactor, though, and very organic, which is, when you go really organic, it looks less like a civilization made it. When you go more cut or manufactured, it tends to look like more of a civilization. Whereas when it's more natural and organic like this, it makes it look like it's more nature or magic driven, or something that was not planned, something that's almost accidental. So keep that in mind with your designs. But I think that there's a nice combination here of the goopy stuff going on into a very organic kind of something that feels like a very almost crustacean kind of an animal. Love the bright light coming out of the entry point. Love that the figure is added in there. Love the texturing on the grass. Really nice presentation. Axiom contributed 2 pieces, and these are mostly concept design sketches, and they are fantastic. Every single one of these, let me zoom in, every single one of these could be something worth pursuing. And this would be a fantastic first step in a concept artist's assignment. If you were literally assigned to do this, this is exactly how we would do it. We would do an entire sheet of rough ideas, and then an art director might say, whoa, we really like this one, but maybe make that part look less like a coffee cup overflowing with foam. You know what I mean? And from there, maybe, you know, you might have an art director that says, I'm going to open up the second one here. You might have an art director that says, hey, we want to go with this one right here, right? So then what you would do, and it looks like that looks exactly like what Antoine did here, where basically they took this design, which is circled, and clearly like we're getting to see how it would pop out of the ground. Now, the only difference here of what I would do by the way, because I love this. I love the presentation. I love the ideas. I love the explorations. Oh man, super inspiring stuff. Wow. But the one thing that I would do differently is I would take this color shot and I'd make that half of this page. Like really give us a showcase of a nicely rendered piece here. You know what I mean? And if that's not your strength, work on that. You're going to need to develop rendering skills. If you're going to be working on actual in-game assets. The line work, the sketching, wow, I got to check out more work from Antoine. Wow, very cool stuff. This one is from Flip. Flip went with a very Guardian influenced design. You know, I'm getting a little bit of a Mega Man Legends vibe here, and I like it. Very cool, very interesting. Love the integration of the eye symbol from Breath of the Wild, from the classic Zelda symbology, but it's actual, it's physical, it's sticking out. I don't know if there was like some 3D involved in the concepting of this, but it looks like there is because there's perfectly cast shadows that are absolutely pretty close to correct here in the final rendering. This is a fantastic job. Love the extra touch of adding in a little bit of that pattern work going on in the background. That is another nice thing about these challenges, these design challenges, is you can see what others have done and start to really push yourself to go, oh, maybe I could do something like that as well. Although I don't want to, miscredit that. This one might have been the first person who had done that. It might have been Flip. But man, really nice. It's nice to see everybody playing off of each other's designs as well and challenging each other. Really cool stuff. Awesome job, Flip. Next up, we have Ghost Monster. And Ghost Monster definitely did a 3D render. Yeah. And hey, man, I love it. I think it's brilliant. A lot of our designs that we did for Fortnite at Aquatic Moon were done in 3D, just like this. We would just do iterations and render out different kind of constructions. They went right into the game. They just had to retopo for that Atlantis environment. But I don't want to get distracted. This is an awesome presentation. Looks like you're using the portfolio workshop template, which is a nice way to present your work. Some of the colors here, because you're using blue in the image and you're using it here in the title, it gets a little bit mixed together, a little jumbled together. I do love that it looks like an ancient's head. What an interesting concept. What an interesting idea. What if there were all of these ancients and they were actually giants, and now their heads are the shrines. What an interesting concept. Looks like some of the, it almost feels a little bit like Robotech though. Maybe a little bit too much. Maybe add in a little bit more organic shapes to it. That is a danger when you're doing too much with 3D, is that suddenly your piece can start to feel like it's a little too rigid, and you want to infuse more of the nature and more of the natural grass and things like that. By the way, great rendering on the grass there. I recognize that brush. Man at Armstrong posted this one. It says, this was good fun. Can't wait for the next one. Congrats to everyone's cool submissions. Ooh, very interesting. Definitely some 3D in here. I can see it in the perfect lighting on these spires, these spikes. This looks deadly. This looks dangerous. It looks like some kind of a electronic device that could just fry you if you activate it wrong. Love that we've got the character in here in the shot. Looks like there's a little bit of rendering from the in-game, like a screenshot, which I think is great. Maybe separate out those values a little bit. It gets too dark right behind these pillars, so it gets hard to differentiate what's foreground and what's background. And we want our focus very much on the design of the structure itself. This is a really nice addition. I think there's definitely some 3D going on here because it's so perfect. Like the ellipses are perfect. Really nice totem that you have back here. Really signifying a clear point of interest. This is, if you're wandering around the world of Breath of the Wild and you see something like this, you want to go check it out. So really nice job, Man at Armstrong. And this is the last one. This is Andy, who got this one just in the nick of time, Andy. So cool to see everyone's submissions. Congrats to everyone. Hope to join the next one too. Let's take a closer look. Let's open it up. Oh yeah, nice thumbnails. I love seeing the addition of the thumbnails in the presentation. I would blow this up a little bit more, really draw some more attention to that. And man, I would have loved to have seen it in color too. This is a very cool design. I love that it's got the Well, one, it feels like a lot like the existing shrines, but it's so much better. You've confined a lot of that kind of weird shape language and wiggly stuff that they have in Breath of the Wild. You've confined that to one kind of like limited location that's a very organic circle, so that feels really great. You've got nice points of rest everywhere where the eye can like rest, and then it gets like more crowded detail right in the middle, which is great. And then you get to the door, and it has that kind of classic pattern work. This is one of my favorites. Really fantastic, fantastic contribution by Andy Clark. Wow. Look at all of those design contributions and explorations. There's so many creative people out there. And, the Aquatic Moon Discord is one of the best places in the world for artists just looking to get feedback, develop their skills, or help others along. And it really goes a long way, man. Like, people will react to your work there, and there are a lot of really helpful people in the Aquatic Moon Discord. I want to encourage you guys to go and check it out. We're just about to start our October design challenge, where we're going to pay a little bit of tribute to one of my favorite games, Darksiders. And I know a lot of the artists that worked on it, and I hope they don't mind that we're going to just be like studying the heck out of their artwork. And we're going to be looking at a lot of their work and breaking down how they designed what they designed. And we're going to be making our own blacksmith for the Darksiders universe. So that's going to be a really fun exploration. I'm hoping you guys will go and check it out as well. And if you want to just swing by, I stop by the Discord about every day now, just for like a few minutes, pop in, help somebody out, give some feedback, or pop in with some sketches and work in progress stuff of my own as well. And so I'd love to see you guys over there as well. And I know they would love the company also. So dudes, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this design challenge and looking at all of the community's contributions. Well, I do videos every Wednesday of my own, and we're going to do another video like this on November, what month is it? November 1st, we're going to be looking at all of the entries for the Darksiders Blacksmith Design Challenge that's going to be all through this month. So I'll see you guys there. All right, ciao.